Over the last 20 years, the internet has become a place for children and youth to communicate, innovate, and create in a global environment. The internet provides innumerable opportunities for education and social inclusion, opportunities young people may not have access to in their daily lives. The internet, however, is not without risk. According to the Boston Consulting Group, online risks involve cyberbullying, inappropriate content, and digital addiction. The United Nations and UNICEF also include sexual abuse, exploitation, and trafficking as major online risks to children and youth. A Boston Consulting Group study reported that participants in the study experienced at least one cyber threat encounter. A United Nations report stated that 80% of children in 25 countries report feeling in danger of sexual abuse or exploitation online. 93% of children ages 8 to 17 are on the internet, and cyber threats occur worldwide. In this video, we will interview adults ages 18 to 60 to find out how different the views are on child and youth safety online, how safe people believe children are on the internet, and address some of the problems associated with online safety. For our first interview, we have my mom, Patricia Heron, age 60, and she's going to discuss child and youth safety online. So, Mom, do you feel the internet is safe for children and youth online?
I don't think it's safe for children to use online. I think there needs to be restrictions. I think there needs to be monitoring, mainly from parents at home. And the websites, they need, like I was saying earlier, about the nude pictures, the dirty pictures that come through on the internet. I've seen them, and I know kids have seen them, and that just needs to stop. I feel like that there should be an age of 16 and under. It should all be monitored.
So, what do you feel is the biggest threat to children and youth online?
The biggest threat, exploitation, and
child sexual abuse is a problem.
Child abuse,
cyberbullying. So, which do you feel is the biggest threat?
I think the biggest threat is maybe cyberbullying. Kids commit suicide over somebody saying something about them or to them, and I think it's the cyberbullying.
Okay. What is one thing you feel can be done to improve the safety of children and youth online? One thing that could help fix the problem.
They put all websites put safety nets up around their websites. They need to monitor what is on their sites, and if it could be fixed, if they would monitor more, they could fix them one at a time, one thing at a time. That's all it would take. If they would just sit down at their computers and monitor what's coming through and how many kids are seeing it. Just think about how many kids are watching what is on.
That sounds great. I really appreciate you coming in.
Well, thank you, Anna, for having me.
For our next set of interview questions, I have my daughter, Cordelia, aged 18. Cordelia, do you feel that the internet is safe for children and youth?
Not particularly. I feel like there can be things that can be done about it that aren't really being done. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Okay. So what do you feel is the biggest threat to children and youth online?
But obviously cyberbullying and online predators.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that is a really big issue, especially if you're already somebody who is, especially a child, who's already particularly sensitive to what people think about them and what people will do.
Self-esteem.
Right.
So what is the one thing you feel can be done to improve the safety in children and youth online?
Just monitoring your kids, and also making sure your kids are okay, even outside of the internet. There could be neglect going on in the household that you don't really notice. Even if you don't, just check up with your children, because children who feel neglected are often the ones that are most affected by cyberbullying and online predators, because they feel like they need to prove themselves to people that they don't really know, because they don't think they've proved themselves to their family.
All right. Well, that's a great answer, Cordelia. I really appreciate you taking the time to answer these questions. And we'll see you in the roundtable. Here for the interview questions, I have Connor, aged 19, my son. And I'm going to ask him the same 3 questions that I'm asking the other participants. Connor,
Yes.
do you feel that the internet is safe for children and youth?
Not entirely. I think you should definitely keep an eye on your children while they're on the internet, especially younger children. You should have them be around a parent or guardian that can monitor what sites they're visiting. Because even search this web, you could search something up, and it just has a keyword like relating to something your child doesn't want, you don't want your child seeing, or your child shouldn't see, and click on the image tabs,
Things come up.
things come up.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what do you feel is the biggest threat to children and youth online?
The biggest threat to children online is probably adults online,
Like predators?
like predators and people who will try to get information out of minors without them knowing any better.
Right. What is one thing you feel can be done to improve the safety of children and youth online?
One thing that can be done is making sites specific to children, like kind of how YouTube has a YouTube Kids,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and making sure we use those sites, coach your children properly before
Educating.
letting them browse the internet.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
All right.
Educate.
Well, Connor, thank you for being here. I appreciate you answering these
problem.
questions.
Yeah.
We'll see you in the roundtable discussion. For the last set of interview questions, I have Xander, age 22, my son, and he's going to answer the interview questions about child and youth safety online.
Mhm.
So, Xander, do you feel the internet is a safe place for children and youth?
I think it can be. I don't think it's particularly unsafe. I just think that there are definitely measures that people aren't taking to keep it a safe place for children.
Okay. What do you feel is the biggest threat to children and youth online?
The biggest threat to children and youth online, it's there are so many. The biggest threat sometimes for children online are, I think, themselves, just because some children, they get online and sometimes their curiosity gets the better of them, and once you're of a certain age, you know that you shouldn't look at some things. You shouldn't go to these sites when they pop up. And I know that a lot of children nowadays, they might not be taught some of these things, like you aren't taught from a very young age by some of your parents or something. Every child isn't taught that. But some children, once you get to the age of, I think, like 13, 17, you know not to click on a pop-up ad for something that you're not supposed to look at.
Right.
So sometimes I think that the curiosity gets the better of children. Maybe it's just something that they're not being taught at home, or but they get curious and they look it up themselves.
Great answer. What is one thing you feel can be done to improve the safety of children and youth online?
I think that we do need to have a better monitoring system, either from the parents or from the companies that put these apps and stuff like that on the internet. But the majority of the time, I think that the parents at home need to take some initiative and take it upon themselves to teach their kids that don't go to these certain sites, don't look at these certain things. Put in parental control measures on sites and internet and stuff like that. You can do that on Google with parental controls. You can do that on most sites with parental controls. But I do think that the parents need to take some initiative in teaching their kids what to do and not to do on the internet.
All right. Well, those are some really great answers. Thank you for coming, and we'll
Thank you.
see you in the roundtable discussion.
Of course.
For the roundtable discussion, we're just going to discuss some facts about children and youth safety online. I'm going to ask some questions. We'll just kind of give our thoughts on how we feel about the facts and questions that I'm going to present as a group. So the first one is, at what age do you think that children should be allowed to use social media?
16.
16?
I think
13.
13 is probably
13.
13.
13? Okay. So I believe that children, I agree with Mom there, that 16 is a good age. So we see a division here in age groups where the younger folks think that 13 is a good age. Us older folks, we believe that 16 is a good age.
Well, I can understand that because I started using social media when I was 13,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not really a point for a 13-year-old to be on social media. There's nothing for a 13-year-old to do on social media.
Right.
I think the reason I think 13 is a good age is because there's, like he said, there's not really a reason for like a 13-year-old to be on social media, and there's not a lot of like you're not gonna get a lot of like friend requests on Facebook when you're 13. I think it's a good age to start teaching a child about the internet and how to use it
Yeah.
and how to make a social media account. And,
Yeah.
well, maybe not make one because if you teach them how to make one, they're just gonna make their
They're
own.
just gonna make their own.
Um,
Well, that's kind of what I did with y'all when y'all were
Mhm.
younger. I started teaching you about internet safety
Yeah.
when you were 13 because I felt that you guys were responsible enough. And in
Yeah.
a way, I feel like it depends on the maturity of the child.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a child who's more responsible, then sometimes the internet can be a learning experience. Whereas maybe with a more immature child, you may not want to start them until they're a little older. And that would be up to the parent's discretion.
Mhm.
Definitely.
So, do you believe young children should use the internet for educational purposes?
Yes,
Yes.
it depends on what sites you look
Yeah.
at.
Well, what are benefits or problems
Well,
to using the
some
internet for education?
benefits are obviously, well, there are a lot of people on the internet that know a lot more than children.
yeah, the
Yeah.
internet's the largest database of information
Yeah.
ever.
The
Yeah.
downside, though, is you could find something that has a high bias in
Yeah.
the media that it is,
Very good point.
and
Very
it
good point.
may
Misinformation.
misinformation, and it may steer that child into a mindset.
I think you should use trusted educational programs. Schools have been doing it for years and they haven't had any problems.
Yeah.
But
We learned a lot about that during COVID.
yeah, I think if you're going to let your child use the internet for education, you should still monitor their activity and what
Yeah.
they're doing
Yeah.
because
I
you don't
agree.
know if they're learning or they're doing whatever they want.
Well,
Right.
even with that, you want to monitor it because you don't know what your kid's learning. You know, like,
Right.
Yeah.
'cause,
Right.
their teacher in school can be telling them like, "Hey, we're studying World War II.
How to
And-
make a bomb.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you've got this kid that's sitting there and learning about something they shouldn't
Yeah.
be.
Yeah,
Seeing
and
something
like,
they
That's
shouldn't
right.
be.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and it can be, even good information can be interpreted differently. According to the United Nations, 1/3 of children in 30 countries worldwide have been cyberbullied. What could be done to prevent this?
Now, with the current climate of the internet today, I don't know if there is a way to prevent cyberbullying.
Right.
People are going to do what they want in general. I think that is more of a thing of like what, kind of what she said, raise your kids right.
I think it goes
Yeah.
back to monitoring your child's devices. Make sure that your kid isn't engaging in cyberbullying anyone else.
Right.
Make sure that they're being nice and respectful on the internet.
If they are being cyberbullied, I feel like even before you allow your children to be on the internet, you need to educate your children that this is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You need to tell them what to do if they're being cyberbullied. And you need to create like a safe environment where kids can talk to you
Mm-hmm.
if they are, because a lot of children, like one of you said in your interview, a lot of children now are committing suicide
They are.
because they're being cyberbullied.
Mm-hmm.
And this is becoming a problem. Most of the internet is owned by private entities. Do you feel that private entities, such as social media platforms, do enough to provide protection for children and youth?
I think some of them do.
Some of them.
I definitely don't think that the majority of them do.
There
Yeah.
are sites like YouTube and various other sites. Discord, just had a huge data breach where tons of passwords and stuff got out. And if your child is online and using the wrong websites, they could have their entire identity, all of that stolen, just like an adult can on the internet.
Right.
And if they don't know how to properly go through the right channels and be safe, know what sites to visit, know what information to give and know what information not to give, because these companies don't care. They'll ask you for anything. They're trying to make money.
Yeah.
And one of the main ways they do that is by selling your information to advertisers, so
Yes.
that show you what you want to see.
So researching websites and ensuring that children know that this information is being passed on to
Yeah.
other entities besides just the platforms that they're signing on to.
And making sure that while they know that this information could be shared with other entities or is being shared with other entities, know what information to give out with that. Like, it might not be too bad to like give out your name, your first and last name, but it could be really bad if you start giving out your first and last name, address, social security number,
Yeah.
Birthday.
birthday.
Yeah, Facebook actually uses your where you put down things that you like, movies you like, songs that you like, things like that, to gear advertising towards you to personalize it. So children need to understand that the social media
Right.
platforms do use your information.
You shouldn't target advertising at children. There's been laws placed against it, and everything else. That's why there's an age requirement to sign up to these websites.
Mm-hmm.
So if you lie about your age, and you sign up anyway, you're willingly giving information that shouldn't be out there at
Right.
at the age you're at. Because when you're younger, you can't really consent to things like that
Right.
because you don't know the implications of it.
Right, there should be an age of consent. Speaking of laws, 3 bills have been at the forefront of the child and youth safety debate. COSA, the Kids Online Safety Act, COPPA 2.0, the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act 2.0, and the original COPA of 1998. COPA 1998 has been enacted since the year 1998 and places parents in control of information collected from children aged 13 and younger. Platforms must provide a privacy policy. Children 13 and under must have parental consent to visit websites. Parents must be given access to the child's information for review. And once the information is no longer needed, it must be deleted. And this comes from the Federal Trade Commission website. COPPA 2.0 was voted out in July 2023 and was similar to the 1998 bill, except it raised the age to 16, included more strict privacy policies. And this is according to Wong, Pan, and Lee from 2023. COSA, the Kids Online Safety Act, was also voted down in July of 2023. This bill was intended to penalize companies who posted harmful or inappropriate content aimed at minors. How do you feel about these bills? Should COSA and COPPA 2.0 have been enacted? Why or why not?
The COSA bill doesn't seem to, because there have been copies of the COSA bill that you can read for yourself so you can sign. It was too vague. It was too vague on what the description of penalize these harmful messages
Right.
that they were going to do.
Yeah, did it tell what the harmful messages were or just harmful content?
Harmful content.
Okay, how about you guys?
COPPA 2.0 kind of did the same thing, except they weren't vague. It was
Yeah.
if we see anything that we think could potentially harm a child, basically you're gonna get penalized by fines. You can go to jail. I know that COPPA 2.0, whenever it was being brought out and everything, a lot of people online were very scared of that. YouTube was a big thing for that. There are people on YouTube that make animations and stuff like that. COPPA 2.0 was going to put into effect that anything that they saw would have to do with children or anything like that would be taken off of that platform, and they would be.
So basically, it was a form of censorship.
Yes.
Yes.
What about you, Mom? You have any thoughts on
I really don't, honey. I mean,
Final question. What have you learned today? And do you feel that making this video will impact how you act online or how you view the internet? Why or why not?
No, it hasn't affected how I view the internet.
Not really.
I've kind of had these same thoughts and everything about the internet for a while. Started noticing them. Obviously, I'm a little older now than I was when I first started using the internet. I kind of developed these thoughts and stuff like that. Oh, this place isn't like the best. It's definitely a good place for finding information or maybe finding people to connect to, but there's definitely things that could be done better.
I think that I don't view the internet any differently. I think that it is a great form to find people that have the same interests as you said. Just something to find, to watch, and just chill out. And,
Has this made you more aware of child safety and measures that maybe you can take now or in the future, like when you have your own kids, or if you are around young children? Do you feel like this might influence how you react to things on the internet? Like,
Yeah.
not just now, but in the future also.
Mhm.
I mean, this video was intended to discuss problems and things we can do better for our children and youth online for their safety. Do you feel like this video maybe gave you some new thoughts?
Definitely, either of these two have children, and I gotta watch them, and be like, hey,
Don't internet.
Don't internet. You can only
Nah.
internet when I'm in the room.
Right.
No, I'm joking.
But yes, to answer your question, I think this video is going to change lives.
Yeah.
I think it will. I've learned a lot
You should definitely
because
watch
I don't
it
know
15
nothing about the
times.
internet, and so it will help me to pay more attention to what I'm looking at
Right.
as an adult. Not just kids, but adults
Mhm.
need to also be aware of these websites that, just like me, because I don't know nothing about them.
Yeah, that's another thing. Older people are definitely also
We're not
a
educated.
target for some of these things.
Right, right. It's not just children and youth who are at risk. A lot of times it's older
Yeah.
people who don't understand the internet.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate you all taking the time to sit down and talk with me for this video on children and youth safety online. And for those of you out there who are watching the video, please leave comments and let me know what you thought and things that we can work on to improve the safety of children and youth online. Thank you. There are several ways we can mitigate threats to children and youth online. Collaborative action is our best resource. We can push for international treaties, national legislation, policies, and reform at home. We can write to legislators, join interest groups, even become part of online groups that take part in policy-making activities. In our communities, we can work to educate children and promote awareness of online threats. Locally, we can provide support and create community engagement projects. There are many levels in which we as individuals can work to stop online threats to children and youth online. We, here at Conversation Overload, would like to encourage viewers to continue the discussion in the comments. Perhaps as a community, we can continue this conversation and create a plan of action.